When you're gunning for a world title, the fire seems heavier, the bunker seems smaller, and the flag feels as heavy as your opponent's will to win.
All day we fight!
This is professional paintball, the fastest growing sport on the planet. It's a team game of speed and strategy that requires individual heart and courage.
Stay alive!
And today, some of paintball's finest teams and biggest stars have come from around the world to decide who is the best of the best.
That's the way to fight out, huh?
The Smart Parts World Paintball Championship is next on ESPN2.
Welcome to the Mohegan Sun Arena for the Smart Parts World Paintball Championship.
I'm Bill Gardner, here with superstar Maddie Marshall.
And it's going to be an awesome tournament.
So far, we've had the Atlanta Predators knocking off their arch rivals, the Jacksonville Raiders. Basically, we have 8 teams that are not used to losing, but only one team can come out on top. Now, the way that this tournament is set up, it's not going to be a cakewalk for anyone. We have 2 conferences of 4 teams, but only 2 teams from each conference will advance to the semifinal round. After 1 week of play, Atlanta's opening game victory gets them on the standings board, and our 4 finalists will face off with the winners playing for the championship and the losers playing for 3rd place. Today's game has the LA Excessive taking on the Russian Legion. Now, let's meet our teams. These tough guys hail from the City of Angels. Let's hear it for LA Excessive. Let's take a look at Excessive. They've got some major players in Nicky Cuba, Rusty Glaze, and Nicky Vegas.
Mom, Dad, I'm on TV.
And you can be sure you're going to be hearing from key contributors Thomas Taylor, Davey Williamson, Scott Kemp, and Carl Markowski.
Nada, nan, nada.
LA's player coach is paintball legend John Richardson. They'd like to bring the title home to Mother Russia. Please welcome the Russian Legion. Look for Federov, Bart Blonski, and Alex Lundquist to bring their A game today. And Kirill Primidni and Sasha Berdnikov are always ready for a fight.
Партия сказала надо, комсомол ответил есть.
And Russian Legion is coached by Leontiev.
We're just about ready for the first point, but before we begin play, let's go over the rules for this tournament.
Our teams play 2 20-minute halves. It's 5-on-5, capture the flag. To score a point, you must capture the flag and hang it in the other team's base. A hit on any part of the body or equipment, and the player is eliminated and must leave the field immediately. If they fail to do so, they'll be given a penalty. Penalties are similar to hockey. Minors are 2 minutes in length, and majors are 5.
Billy, first point, Excessive Russian Legion, 2 powerhouse teams right now matched up. Both teams they've had a lot of success recently. This is going to be an awesome matchup.
They haven't played each other very much, have they, Maddie?
Not really. I mean, you know, Russian Legion obviously out of Moscow. They're the best team in Europe by far, and they've been stomping out American teams on a regular basis. Excessive have been training incredibly heavy for 2 years now. They've picked up a lot of big-name players. Rusty Glaze, we see there, got out, and John Richardson as well. There's Rusty Glaze. Rusty Glaze is on the Dorito side. Rusty Glaze, big pickup for Excessive. Also, John Richardson, big pickup. And we see Russian Legion up to Snake 2 already. Russian Legion is a very technical, very thorough team. They do their homework. They have a massive coaching staff. They're professional paintball players in every sense of the word. They get paid to play. They work out 5 days a week. Incredibly massive regime. You know, that's how they got all their success. We see Fedorov, the most talented player on the Russian Legion, widely considered one of the best players in the world, actually. Fedorov sliding up there in that Dorito side. We see Rusty Glaze trying to get a shot on him right now. Rusty Glaze working his angles. He's trying to get a shot on Fedorov. And Fedorov loses his gunfight. Awesome job, Rusty Glaze. And here comes John Richardson, moving up to one of the fingers on the Dorito side. Here comes Rusty. Oh, he's getting shot across field.
Yeah, he got hit there.
Rreobraghenski, and yeah, but he gets shot as well. Oh, so as Berdnikov shoots, Rusty Glaze cross field, he gets shot as well. And there goes Matt Blonski. Matt Blonski, an East Coast American player playing with the Russians. They picked him and his brother Bart Blonski up earlier on this year. Definitely a good pickup for the Russians. You can hear Thomas Taylor with the communication. trying to get those calls cross field. You know, Billy, how important is communication? You can hear Thomas Taylor screaming to his guys.
It's critically important, and sometimes it's extremely difficult with the noise factor in these arenas.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot going on, you know. As you see Matt Blonski advancing to the 50-yard line spot. Here comes Davey Williamson sliding in. Davey Williamson, seasoned veteran, hardcore player, very, very aggressive on and off the field.
Did he get bounced there, Matty, or what?
I think he did. Either got bounced or he head checked away from a ball, which either way, almost, hey, man.
Looked like it might have hit his loader.
Might have got bounced off his loader. We'll see. But regardless, we see Thomas Taylor grabbing that flag. And Thomas Taylor is going to run that flag in. And it looks like LA Excessive will be going up the first point against a powerhouse Russian Legion team. You see here on the replay, Fedorov gets gogged right in his face. He loses a gunfight against Rusty Glaze, takes a couple stepping out. And then Rusty Glaze trying to advance up the field. It's a fat pack hit. And here comes Matt Blonski. He gets domed, trying to slide into that 50-yard line bunker. LA Excessive draw first blood as they take a 1-0 lead over the Russian Legion. And we'll be right back with more paintball action after this commercial timeout.
I think the sport is just gonna grow so tremendously because it has so many aspects of it that no other sport have. You have the adrenaline, you have the fact you can play young as old, there's girl teams, there's, you know, I mean, there's just so many aspects to the sport that are so amazing.
The Smart Parts World Paintball Championships are brought to you by Smart Parts, Equipment Counts, and the Mohegan Sun, a world of play.
A little worn out, but you'll do. Your equipment, however, will not. Your time has come. Sorry.
See how it ends at smartparts.com.
Welcome back to the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships. I'm Matty Marshall with Bill Gardner Jr., and we got our band PSK rocking the house. It's a 1-0 game with LA on top as the action continues. All right, new set of players for both teams stepping out here on the field. And a breakout. Scott Kemp sliding into Snake 2, but he gets shot off the break. Scott Kemp, young, rookie on Excessive team. They're playing very well this year, earning a lot of respect. And we see Bart Blonski also earned a lot of respect past couple of years. That's why he's on the Russians right now. They picked him up in the offseason.
Russians are getting good field position here, but Excessive countering.
And there you go, Nicky Cuba getting right in there. Snake 1, he's gonna have to get up into Snake 2 somehow. Bart Blonski for the Russian Legion, he's already in Snake 2. You can hear the communication on both teams, trying to find out where those bodies are. You have to identify the spots you need to shoot at. Sounds simple, it's so hard to do it out there. And these guns are shooting 200 miles an hour, 15 balls a second, everybody's screaming. There goes Nicky Cuba, crawling up into Snake 2, good move. Well timed by Nicky Cuba. Bart Blonski trying to get shots on that Dorito side of the field.
Russians really not taking advantage of their field position, allowing Excessive to counter.
Well, Nicky picked the right time to move up there. He realized that, you know, Bart was shooting inside, shooting toward that Dorito side. Oh, and here comes, a battle is shaping up here on the Snake side between Nicky Cuba and Bart Blonski.
Look at the rhythms here. The guy who gets ahead of the rhythm usually wins, and sure enough.
And Bart Blonski gets schooled by Nicky Cuba. They've actually been playing against each other for years. But I'll tell you what, Nicky Cuba winning that battle. Nicky Cuba, Bart Blonski, East Coast players. One of them playing on the Russians. Nicky Cuba playing for LA Excessive. And Excessive's gonna go up 2-0 right now on the strength of Nicky Cuba owning that Snake side. So it's LA Excessive out of the gate early as they take a 2-0 lead over this Russian Legion. And while our teams catch their breath, let's take a look at this.
Paintball markers have evolved tremendously over the past decade. Markers today now have computer control, vision eye sensors, and are capable of firing at tremendous rates. However, their high price tag creates a problem for the younger players who can't afford them. Problem solved. This marker has all the features of the high-tech semi at a fraction of the price. It will enable tomorrow's pros to get started today.
It's early in the first half. LA moves up 2 as the Russian Legion still looking to get on the board as play resumes. Let's see if Russian Legion can get back in this. They're not used to playing down. Here, Davey Williamson. Maskel is a UK baller playing for the Russian Legion. Oh, and Davey finally gets a shot in on his hand. They're battling it out right now. Johnny Richardson and Fedorov battling. Oh,
looks
and Fedorov
like Fedorov
takes
wins
him
that
down.
one. Yeah.
So Fedorov is going to win that battle of the Titans. Johnny's going to walk off. Excessive still in good field position right now. Let's see if Fedorov can create a little bit more. Here comes Thomas Taylor.
Nice move by Taylor.
Definitely Thomas Taylor filling the void left by Richardson. Immediately slides right in. Hey, but that's how good teams roll, though, right? I mean, Bill, if you're a good team and you lose someone, you immediately, the guy behind him is like, how can I get to that spot?
Well, Excessive had the advantage, and then Taylor makes sure they keep it.
And Taylor gets a shot in on Fedorov. So Excessive, dominant field position right now. Russian Legion just trying to cross it up. Referee getting in there, and the Russians have to concede that point. Thomas Taylor stoked right now on his team's performance. Excessive coming out mashing right now. They're up 3-0. We see on the replay, Dan Maskel gets one in his hand right there and thinks for a second, should I try to rub it on the bunker? But he ends up coming out. Alex Lundquist, a few words for the referees. So it's now LA 3 and the Russian Legion nothing. Let's go down to our sideline reporter, Callie Stidar, who's with the player coach of LA Excessive, Johnny Richardson.
Great gun battles going on in that 50 can and the snake. Talk to me about that.
That 50 can is on this field fairly easy to get to, so we're kind of concentrating on getting that spot, shooting it across the field for the better angles.
How fast do you think your team's getting off the break? Are you completing what you need to do?
Yeah, we're making all our spots. We haven't lost anyone in the break yet. Our team was kind of like, if we make 5 alive on the break and play paintball, I think we're gonna win all the points. We lose points when we lose people on the break, so that's like our main concern is getting alive on the break.
We'll be right back with more paintball action. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships. I'm Andy Marshall with Bill Gardner Jr. And it's LA 3 and the Russian Legion nothing as we welcome San Diego Dynasty's Alex Frege to the announcer's booth.
Not necessarily a big surprise here in this matchup because Excessive is, one of the superstar teams of the world, but the surprise is that the Russian Legion has not stepped up at all. It's 3-0 right now, LA in the lead. Alex, what do you think, man?
The Russians had a slow start, but I wouldn't expect that to last for very long. They're a great team, and I think that they'll definitely come back and give Excessive a run for their money.
Alex, what do you think about their top gun, Konstantin Fedorov? Hasn't been too effective, has he?
Not as he should be. He's a pretty nasty paintball player, but this far he hasn't been as effective as usual. So, they definitely need to move him into a position where he can be the Konstantin that he is.
All right, so we're going to head back into the action right now and see if Excessive can keep shutting Fedorov down and handling business on that snake side.
Thanks, Alex. Russian Legion in the red and white. On the blue side, Excessive on the red side in the black and camouflage. Oh, Karl Markowski trying to get out to that Dorito side of the field. It's very hard to get out there off the break. He gets shot.
Russians lose one on the break as well, Matty.
Bart Blonski's in snake 1. Nicky Cuba rolling his gun down that side, trying to get a shot on him. Oh, and Bart Blonski getting owned so far in this first half by Nicky Cuba. Fedorov rolling his gun, trying to get shots on the Dorito. Fedorov, he's still rolling his gun, trying to get shots on that Dorito side.
Nicky Cuba getting a little bit too comfortable here, standing over the snake side bunker like that.
Well, he had that good shot on Bart, and he won his gunfight before. He was playing tight, and then, it just got a little sloppy. Oh, big move. Nicky Vegas all the way up to the 50-yard line, overslides it a bit, but he gets in clean. It's just snake 1 for the Russians. Here comes Vegas to run him down, and Fedorov, lone soldier left. He's trying to point it out to the referee. He's grasping for straws right now, anything he can get. I'll tell you what, they need to get a little bit more tight because we see Bart Blonski there A little too loose over the top of his bunker, gets shot by Nicky Cuba. And the Russians looking horrible here in this match against Excessive.
Shot him, shot me. What? You shot us, dude. We're off the sidelines.
Referee has a few choice words for Neil Eberle as Los Angeles takes a commanding 4-0 lead. This is not the Russian team, Billy, that we have seen for the past couple years. But I'll tell you what, Excessive, man, they have been definitely stomping people out this year, and now they're stomping out the Russians. Ooh, and shot off the break. Fedorov, the superstar from the Russian Legion, completely shut down here in the first half by Excessive.
Oh, boy, Matty, they're just
dropping like
dying.
flies.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies. As they say, when it rains, it pours, and it's pouring for the Russians right now.
Oh, Excessive is just rolling through right now as Thomas Taylor got onto the Russian side of the field. Berdnikov is just, he has no idea what's going on. Excessive is completely stoked, though. These guys are rolling. Russian Legion concedes a point to LA Excessive, making it a 5-0 game. The Russians desperately need to get on the scoreboard before the end of this half. Let's see if they can do it.
Ooh, he leaves early, Matty. Yeah, he is out. Cannot leave early or you will be out.
Man, the Russians cannot catch a break, but Bart Blonski styling up the snake side. Bart's gonna have to have a game. The Russians are gonna get themselves out of this funk. Karl Markowski just charging up that Dorito side. He's in a good field position. Karl Markowski, he's a rare talent, man. He's the fastest player in the league. He has not lost a foot race to anyone in the entire league yet. Oh, and he makes a shot on the back center. Karl Markowski trying to get shots on Bart Blonski, and he rolls him up too. Oh, man. Excessive is rolling up the Russian Legion like a soft taco right now. Look at John Richardson just waving his guys off. He's like, yeah, everyone's dead, and we're having an awesome game. So let's keep this up.
There's the early move. Notice how the Russian player leaves, tries to get back in time, but doesn't make it. He's out of the game.
So he's going to walk off, and Russians, not only are they losing on the field, they're just making mental mistakes. The Russian Legion have to concede another point, and it's now a 6-0 game. LA beating the brakes off the Russian Legion so far in this game. You got to wonder what's going through the Russians' minds right now.
Everything is very bad.
Bill, the Russians did not come to play paintball today.
No, they didn't. I've never seen them play quite this badly, Matty.
I don't know, maybe they had some really bad jet lag or something.
Excessive loses one off the back corner.
Excessive still, they need to get outside. Well, they have Rusty Glaze. Oh, but Rusty, he takes one. So Excessive down to 3 players. Davey Williamson tries to fill out on the Dorito side, diving in. I think he made it out there. The referee's gonna get in there and check him out. He might have caught one.
No, he made it.
It's a tough spot to play, especially when you have Bart Blonski zoning in on you from the opposite side of the field.
Now the Russians are wide here. They have better field position. Let's see if they can score a point.
Huge 6-point deficit right now. They need to get back in this game. We talked about momentum. This could be the momentum shifter right here. Oh, they get a shot on Williamson. Williamson hit on his pack by Bart Blonski. And here come the Russians. Here comes Fedorov running down the center. Oh, Fedorov, a little payback. He gets taken out. Not before he gets John Richardson, though. And here comes Bart Blonski styling up that snake side. Just Thomas Taylor left. Oh, and the Russians finally get on the board here. Bart Blonski's jogging that flag in, checking himself over real quick, make sure he doesn't hang with a hit. They need everything they can get at this point. And the referee signals that he is clean. So the Russians get on the board. We see Williamson takes a shot on his pack. He just couldn't get tight enough in that back X on the Dorito side. And Johnny Richardson, some extra bonus balls from the Russians. Double tap.
Off, adding a little fun in there.
John Richardson got a new pair of eyes on that point.
That was our chance to go by 7.
So the Russian Legion finally get on the board and make it a 6-1 game. And we'll see if they can add a few more first half points when our game continues after this break.
What sport can you actually shoot someone, and still have fun, still talk about it, and, you're still walking around, It's not like how everyone thinks it is. Everyone's like, well, this is war. It's not, it's a big game of tag, and we're just going out there and we're having fun.
See how it ends at smartparts.com.
Welcome back as the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships party rolls on. And for those of you just joining us, I'm Matty Marshall with Bill Gardner Jr. Your score, LA Excessive 6, Russian Legion 1, with 2:34 remaining in the first half as we resume play. So the Russians came right back. That game scored a point finally.
Got a long way to go, Matty.
Karl Markowski not able to get out even to the box on the Dorito side. The Dorito side is a hard, very hard bunkers to make over there. Oh, Nicky Cuba gets hit. I think
the other one's hitting the pack.
Yeah, Neil Eberle, I think, has a hit in his pack. Yeah, referee's running over there. Bart Blonski able to get out finally, gets a payback on Nicky Cuba. He also got Neil Eberle in the pack, so 3 dead for Excessive. Here comes Bart Blonski. He's just gonna run right over the top of Scott Kemp. Oh, awesome
nice
move by Bart Blonski.
Tries to stay in bounds there, but
he tries to stay in balance and not able to. And the Russians get right back in this game. They're still down by 4 points, though. But I'll tell you what, paintball's a game of momentum, like we were talking about, Billy. We see here Bart Blonski on the run-through in the replay, just runs right over Scott Kemp and takes down Nicky Vegas in the back, and then tippy toes almost stays in bounds, ends up going out of bounds. He gets called out, not that it matters. And Bart is gonna take a little break, get some water, get some more paint on his back. They've cut LA's lead to 4, and it looks like the Russians may have altered their game strategy a little bit as we get back to it. So Excessive, little hiccup.
Russians starting to counter Excessive's initial positions on the field. Excessive shooting their guns very well. Russians trying to figure out a way to counter this.
Tell you what, they're gonna have to get a little bit more offensive. Oh, they definitely cannot be losing gunfights. Dan Maskel loses his gunfight right there on that Dorito side. And we see Rreobraghenski, massive gunfighter for the Russians, trying to roll his gun up that Dorito side. Here he goes, making a move out to the small box. That's the insert bunker, the jump-off point that lets you get into those Doritos. Oh, but Rusty Glaze takes out Rreobraghenski. You can hear the codes being yelled and the communication from Excessive. Davey Williamson screaming, slow it down, letting everyone know what's going on.
Rusty Glaze looks like he wants to go down that line, Matty.
And he gets a shot off on the snake player for the Russians, and here comes Excessive getting right back into the groove of things and put more points on the board. Awesome game by Rusty Glaze. You see here, he's walking, strutting it. David Williamson grabbing that flag. He's just gonna walk it in. Excessive wants to take as much time after this game as possible because they have so many points on the board.
Now, let's take a look at the replay. The outnumbered Berdnikov trying to make something happen gets popped in the loader.
While our teams take a break, let's check this out.
My name is Kostia Federov. I play for Russian Legion.
Paintball's popularity isn't just exploding in North America, it's also spreading across Europe.
My name is Mishka.
One of the teams in the tournament, the Russian Legion, has dominated the European scene, winning in England, France, and Norway, to name a few.
Matt Blonski, Bart Blonski, Alex Lundquist.
They practice 5 days a week, with paintball being their full-time job. They spend more time working on their game than any other team going.
Oh, here comes another big move by the Russians.
I chatted with some of the guys from Legion earlier. So your team is from Russia.
Maxim Morozov, Dan Maskel, Vasia Panteleev.
Is the language a barrier at all?
У нас на четверочку прикрывает его.
Hey guys, I need 3 pods of evil, please.
Nowadays, it's not a barrier at all, so we can understand what New York guys are telling us.
Right, no problem.
What Dan from London is telling us.
Stephen, I love you.
We have somewhere like 4 or 5 Russians who knows English some.
Everything is very bad.
And they can speak with the guys on the field.
The Russians are zoned up across the field.
We need to take the initiative, guys.
Maxim Rreobraghenski.
Kirill Primidni.
The good thing about speaking Russian, I think, like when you're playing against an all-American team, is you'll call out a position and they won't know what we're talking about.
The Russian Legion finally getting something going.
We're ranked number 1 in the NXL right now, and we'll see what happens next year.
My name is Kirill.
Well, it's a 7-2 game. LA all over the Russian Legion so far. Now let's see if someone can pull off a quick point before time expires in the first half. Ooh, Scott Kemp looks like he might have left early. I think he got back in time. I don't know. Well, the referee's gonna have to make that call. See a referee sprinting across field. Scott Kemp was gonna be pulled out for leaving early. And we see John Richardson diving into the box behind Snake 2, but he gets shot.
The Russians need this point. They've got to get moving.
Well, they're coming
and
down.
And they are. Look at this.
It's a sea of Russians running down Karl Markowski.
Good point by the Russians.
Fedorov get a little shout, slamming that flag in, trying to get his team hyped up. They need it. It's going to be 3-7. And we see on the replay right there, Scott Kemp just jumping the gun a little bit. He tried to get back. He did not get his barrel back down on there, and the referee saw it, pulled him out. The Russian Legion get a much-needed point as time expires here in the first half. Let's go down now to Callie Steinhardt, who's with Russian Legion's Kirill Primidni.
What's going on out there?
So we changed our strategy because the XSV is a very good team in a 7-man paintball, and they know how to shoot and how to hold the lanes, and the field is pretty much in PPL1. That's why we have to change the tactics. And
good luck, and we'll be back after this.
Welcome back to the Mohegan Sun Arena for the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships. I'm Matty Marshall, bringing you all the action with Bill Gardner Jr., and we're joined by the Seattle Naughty Dogs, Trevor Hawken.
Trevor, you know, you've been playing very well this event. You've played against both these teams. Yeah. You've especially played against the Russian Legion. Fedorov, their star player, is being shut down right now. You know, what do you think's happening out there?
I believe he's not playing right-hand dominant. He's been going to the Doritos, and they're all professionals, and we can all play both-handed, but when you dive into the initial bunker, I mean, you're going to have something, you know, that you feel comfortable with. And I think this half, I guarantee that he'll be going through the snake. I mean, it's a given. I mean, he's going to be mowing people this game. So they're only down 7-3, so I think they're going to come back.
Thanks, Trevor.
Russians should come hard, Matty. They need another point.
You know, they have to come hard. They have no choice. They're really good at playing aggressive, too, so we'll see. Here comes Bart Blonski diving into Snake 2. Immediately guns up down the line. Thomas Taylor tries to fill out.
I don't see enough movement by these Russians, though. Look at this.
Oh, Rusty Glaze gets his back torn apart. Torched by Bart Blonski. Davey Williamson slides in, though. He needs to get tight, though. Bart's got a shot on him, too, and he finally sees it and starts shooting at Bart. Bart Blonski playing well so far, but I'll tell you what, a lot of the Russians need to step it up if they want to contend.
There we go.
There we go. Shot on Davey Williamson, but they're gonna. Hey man, they need to come down this field. They're not playing this point fast enough.
And they have the advantage.
They definitely have the advantage.
Look at that. You know, I mean, they should be way up this field.
Here comes Fedorov sliding into the 50-yard line. He's right in front of Bart Blonski. Roast down John Richardson. Thomas Taylor gets submitted by Fedorov. Fedorov racing the flag in. He wants to preserve every single second on that clock because they're going to need it. They're still down by 3. And these points, you know, Excessive's going to want to play these points long, so they need all the time they have. We see on the replay Davey Williamson out of his bunker too long. He gets shot in his hand, and then damage control. John Richardson trying to fill back because there's no one on that side of the field. He couldn't get back. The Russians are threatening to get right back in this game as they cut the lead to 3, and it's LA Excessive 7, the Russian Legion 4, and it looks like the momentum may be shifting. Let's see what the Russians' Alex Lundquist makes of the situation.
You know, these guys they're a good team, you know, and they came out really strong, and took some time for us to kind of adapt to them, and we're doing a lot better now. You know, we took 4 points, we're down 6-0, so, you know, hopefully we'll be able to keep it up and catch up to them and win the game.
So the Russians trying to take some of the momentum away from Excessive. They're still not that close. They are playing like the Russians that we've seen before, Billy. They sent Nicky Vegas for Excessive up into that center.
Russians trying to maintain the momentum.
Okay,
he's hit on the loader there, isn't he?
He might have got hit on the loader. He shot Nicky Vegas in the back.
Nice move by the Russians, moving right up into Snake 1, I believe.
Getting into Snake 1, crawling up to the box. He's going to want to get to Snake 2, get up in there. He's going to start looking cross field to get shots on the Dorito side of the back center. You see Scott Kemp finally got his loader back on, looking cross field for those shots. You know, smart paintball player is going to work the entire bunker, Billy. You know, it's about being thorough. It's about getting in there and getting shots on the inside, trying to come back down the tape. You have to play the whole bunker. You can't just play half of it. Oh, it's Scott Kemp. I think he got a shot in.
Yes, he did. It was a nice shot, too, Matty.
You know, Scott Kemp has proved to a lot of people that he's been able to play pro paintball this year, man. I mean, he came from a losing program before, but stepped up this year, came out to Excessive's tryouts, and has pretty much just been rocking it out the entire year. They're trying to get shots on right now. And, you know, the snake side, most important side of the field, can win a lot of games from there. Oh, and he gets a shot on Mishka. So Mishka losing his gunfight. And here comes Johnny Richardson weaving through the center fingers to run down the last Russian player. They're gonna go round and round that Dorito, but there's just too many excessive guns to hide from. The Russians just bewildered right now. Nothing's working for them. They got a couple points on the board. So far, not enough. We see Rreobraghenski in there in Snake 2. He got in there good, but then he just loses his gunfight to Scott Kempchuk. Asked the referee for a check. Yeah, buddy, it did break. So he's gonna walk off, and the Russians are just gonna try to figure out what is going on. It's LA Excessive up by 4 over the Russian Legion as they try to fend off the Russians' comeback attempt. This is a crucial point for the Russians. Let's see what happens.
The Russians consistently losing momentum through this game.
We see Greg Hastings diving in there for Excessive into Snake 1. Greg Hastings trying to get some shots on him as he's sprawled out there on the ground. You could see that, the stream of paint flying past Rreobraghenski's bunker by Greg Hastings. Paintball is a game of angles. It's not just always the straight up head-to-head battling out with your mirrored spot. You know, it's a lot of it is who can get the lanes of fire down correctly and come up with the best strategies and locking lanes down. Repositioning Fedorov all the way to the back center.
Nice move by Fedorov.
Yeah, he realizes. See, Rreobraghenski gets shot in the head, draws a penalty. Fedorov had saw that, so he tried to get to that back center, and here comes John Richardson just creeping through the field, blocking everybody out. Jumps over that, dives into the 50-yard line bunker. Oh, but he gets nicked right in his foot there as he dove in. He was mad at his player, though, because they told him that lane was clear. Thomas Taylor clearing out the snake side. So it's just Kirill left in the corner for the Russians. Thomas Taylor trying to work on him right now.
3 players on Kirill here. Oh, Kirill makes a great shot on Taylor. Looks like 2-on-1. Kirill in the corner. They're playing in a line right now. It's Rusty Glaze in the back.
Rusty Glaze and Hastings left for Excessive. It was a 3-on-1, now it's a 2-on-1. It's all about your players stepping up and having big games. This could be big for the Russians if Kirill pulls this off. So it's Rusty Glaze, and Hastings is still in there. Oh, but Hastings takes one in his eyepiece, gets center punched.
That's the
by
second
Kirill.
good shot by Kirill. Let's see if he can make a third, Matty.
It was 3-on-1 at one point, and Kirill just handling business, taking out all 3 Excessive players, making this a 3-point match right now.
Excessive really not playing together there, Matty. I mean, you know, in a line like that, one at a time, not how you do it.
And Kirill's gonna run that flag and pulling off a 3-on-1. Now let's take a closer look at that point. Excessive, though they are doing very well against the Russians, this point played very sloppy. You had John Richardson craftily gets his way into position to get up to the 50-yard line bunker on the snake side, gets nicked in his foot sliding in. Then Thomas Taylor off that gets onto the Russian side of the field to the center stand-up, and then he loses his gunfight. Then it placed Kirill Primidni in a 2-on-1 situation, but luckily for him, all of Excessive's players were in the same line. Hastings had also made it onto the Russian side of the field. He was at the Dorito right in front of Kirill. Kirill blasts him in the face and then runs down the field, takes out Rusty Glaze. Awesome job, pulled off a 3-on-1. And it's LA Excessive 8 and the Russian Legion 5, only a 3-point ball game. And we'll be right back with all the action after this break.
friends at smartparts.com.
Welcome back to the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships. I'm Matty Marshall with Bill Gardner Jr., and that's our house band PSK kicking out the jams as we get ready to continue the action. It's LA Excessive 8 and the Russian Legion 5, but the Russians will be starting a man down since they still have 3.5 minutes left on that 5-minute penalty. They're certainly making it hard on themselves to continue this comeback. So the Russians have brought it back. It's now a 3-point game. Excessive. It's still a pretty big lead, though, in this style of paintball. Nicky Vegas and Nicky Cuba. Ooh, Nicky Cuba sliding into Snake 2. Good move by Nicky Cuba. He's backed up by Nicky Vegas, who's in the X on the Snake side. Bart Blonski, who's played a pretty decent game for the Russians so far. He's in that Snake as well, and there we have the Russians styling out here on the Dorito side. Nicky Cuba might have got a shot on him. I don't know. We'll
Russians
see.
keeping up their aggression here, Matty. They're keeping the pressure up.
They're definitely rocking and rolling on this Dorito side right now. Nicky Vegas trying to shoot over the top of that X. The Russians owning that Dorito side of the field. They're trying to get shots. Nicky Vegas. Nicky Vegas slid in there. He's in Snake 1 now. Ooh, I think either him or Nicky Cuba had a shot.
Did the Russian just survive that?
No, I don't know. We'll see in a second. I think Nicky Vegas got a shot on him, though. Alex Lundquist got a 5-minute gun penalty. So he had an illegal gun, and he's coming out box right now trying to talk to the referee about it. That's not a good break for the Russians, man. I don't know if they were sacrificing kittens last night or what the deal was, but they definitely do not have any good karma today.
Now we have to play with 3 guys, 3 on 5. Both of us are in the box now, too. Yeah, I love this.
It's LA Excessive 9 and the Russian Legion 5 after conceding that point. The Russians pick up another major 5-minute penalty. Bart Blonski joins Kostia Federov in the penalty box. Right now, things do not look good for the Russian Legion. And we now welcome Paul Costa of the New York Aces.
Now, Paul, you've been in a situation before where penalties are absolutely killing your team. Talk a little bit about this particular matchup right now and how penalties are just killing the Russians here in the second half.
Yeah, the Russians and Excessive are both great teams, but the Russians, 1 penalty to the Russians, they might be able to come back with 4 guys. They're a great team, but 2 penalties is absolutely going to kill them. It's going to be tough to come back 4 points in the last couple minutes of the game with 2 penalties. Only playing with 3 guys, especially against a great team like Excessive.
So we're going to see if the Russians are going to be able to play past all the penalties that they've been getting. To us, it seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot, but we're going to go see if they can play past it right now.
If we can win one game, we can win this match.
Well, if the Russians are going to do anything, now would definitely be the time.
This is really rough for the Russians here, Matty.
They got to start with 3 bodies against all 5 Excessive players. So Excessive's definitely going to want to just basically get out to their spots. I mean, if all the time were to run off the clock right now, they would win this game. So they're just going to play this point as decently slow as possible. They did make a good move of sending Davey Williamson up far in that center, try to shut down that Snake side of the field.
Meantime, the Russians under incredible pressure, needing to make something happen with only 3 players.
They're definitely going to try. They have to make something happen, regardless. I mean, it's it's paintball, man. You're playing for respect, pride, all that stuff.
Excessive flying down the field.
Well, Excessive, they're not looking at a lot of guns, so it's going to be really easy for them to start stomping the Russians out. Here it is. They're able to get all 3 kills real fast, one right after the other, and Excessive just continues to put it on the Russians. The Russians just completely somber. I mean, they have no idea what's going on here. They had to start with 3 guys that game. LA Excessive taking an absolutely commanding lead in this game. I'll tell you what, not a lot of people thought the Russians would get blown out this bad.
Most people probably doubted us. Well, they won the last event. The Russians are a real good team. I mean, top 3 for sure. Last event we didn't do so hot, but I knew it was going to go this way.
So it continues to look absolutely dire for the Russians. Again, they're starting with 3 players against Excessive's 5. Oh, they're trying to get Mishka out to the Snake. He made it in there alive, but they're going to have to get some quick kills. And Nicky Cuba, he's in the Snake as well. Nicky Vegas all the way up in that center.
Excessive still moving down the field aggressively.
Oh, and Excessive just continues to put it right on the Russians. It's, you know, Nikki Cuba is in that 50-yard line bunker on the snake side. The Russians trying to zone in right now. Alex Lundquist just dealing with as many bodies as he can, shooting right-handy lefty. Excessive playing it smart. They're playing it smart, you know. I mean, Billy, at this point, like we were talking about, they could just sit in their bunkers, let the time go off, and they win. They're up a ton of points. They're blowing away the Russians. Oh, and they're just hammering it down the Russians' throats right now. It does not look good for the Russians. I mean, they're down a ton of points. They had major penalties. They're just completely out of it mentally.
Berdnikov's body language says it all.
It's now an 11-5 game as LA Excessive takes another point. The Russians will finally be back at full strength if they can survive long enough to get their man out of the penalty box. But I got a feeling that LA is going to be pounding them out, waiting for it.
I don't know if they're going to grab another quick point, but if they know the guy's coming out of the penalty box, they can make sure they're shooting that way when the clock runs out and he has to run out into a stream of paint, which doesn't usually work out well for the guy coming out of the box. Take him out of the penalty box and put him right back in the dead box.
Excessive putting on a clinic today, showing why, you know, they're one of the best teams out there right now.
42 seconds on that penalty!
3 on 5 again.
Glaze makes it out to the Dorito side. Good move by Glaze to get out there. It's a tough side to make it, but again, they're only going against 3 guns.
2 left.
There's only 2 Russians left. They're in Snake 2. He's looking crossfield, trying to get shots on Glaze. Here comes Thomas Taylor. Thomas Taylor looking to get shots on the back Russian player. Oh, all the way up on that Dorito side. Davey Williamson had got all the way up on that Dorito side, but a penalty is going to be assessed on Davey Williamson. And speaking of penalties, about to come out of the box right now is Fedorov, diving head first. He makes it into that back center, even though guns are on him.
Maybe he pushed his buddy out, though.
Yeah, Rreobraghenski, he ends up getting a shot. Here comes Fedorov filling out the Snake 1. Fedorov scanning the field right now, trying to get some quick kills. After going to Snake 1, bounces back to the insert Aztec, and he's gonna come up the center. It's just Hastings, I think, left alive for Excessive. Nikki Cuba screaming at him, trying to let him know what's up and what's coming, because here comes Fedorov. Fedorov's got to be out for blood, man. I would be so frustrated if I was Fedorov. He is used to pounding people to the ground. And today, he's just been wearing a bunch of welts. Oh, and Hastings just trying to get as much time off that clock as possible.
Russians really had to work for that point, Matty. It wasn't an easy one.
No, I mean, Fedorov had to come diving headfirst out of the box, then get into Snake 1, then bounce back to the Aztec, finally cutting the seam in the center, taking out Hastings. So the Russian Legion get back on the board finally with another point, and now it's LA 11, Russian Legion 6, and you gotta believe emotions are running high in both team pits.
We're up on bodies, we just need to sit. We're running down the field and inside. Let's just slow it down. It's a penalty.
We just want to bring everyone to the same page. We get scattered. We don't get mad, we get scattered. So we want to bring everyone back in. That's what the chant's for. Beat down! Beat down! We're in a cage. So they know, we know, it's a battle. Excessive.
And we'll be right back after this.
See how it ends at smartparts.com.
The Smart Parts World Paintball Championships are brought to you by Smart Parts, Equipment Counts, and the Mohegan Sun, a world of play.
This game, especially when you're up on points, the aggression helps on your initial breakout. But once you get there, it's more important to stay alive and let the clock come back down and make those guys come at you. They need the points, so they can't sit and hide.
Welcome back to the Smart Parts World Paintball Championships. With time running out, it's LA Excessive 11, Russian Legion 6 as our game continues. So the Russians finally get Fedorov back on the field. Let's see if they can get some points just for pride. There's only about 2 minutes left in this game. Excessive just needs to get out to their spots, lock it up, cross it up, talking to each other. Here we go, Nicky Cuba sliding in the snake. You're gonna see him. He's gonna look down the wire and he's gonna look cross field, try to get shots. Oh, he tried to get up to that next bunker, but I think he might have got bounced. No, he ended up getting hit. Oh, and then shot from cross field, Fedorov. He just, you know, man, trying to make things happen, Billy, at this point in the game, and he's got nothing to lose at this point. Here comes Karl Markowski coming up that Dorito side of the field. Karl Markowski in the 40 Dorito. Oh, gets a good shot on the back Russian player. And now Karl's got this whole side right now. He's trying to pinch out the little mini brick, the insert bunker on the Dorito side of the field. He's in a much better position, especially because he's got Vegas and Scott Kemp pinching him out from the opposite side. They're just gonna put, yep, exactly. See, that's what happens. Karl pushes him out, and Vegas tears his pack apart. And now Vegas is honing in on the last guy. And here comes Nicky Vegas. It's not gonna matter. Vegas is gonna shoot him anyway. And Excessive has gotta be stoked right now, Billy.
Yeah, they're way up, and they're winning this game.
They're definitely gonna win this game. Nicky Vegas had another good game for Excessive.
This is how we play, Excessive.
Excessive way up above the Russians here. 6 points ahead. Let's see what the Russians can do.
Well, the Russians, they're gonna be starting with 4. Bart Blonski permanently in that box. Ooh, flying into Snake 1. I think he got bounced.
Time pretty much up for the Russians, but let's see if they know that.
Ooh, so Davey Williamson, he's in that little Dorito. It's kind of a small bunker. Oh, and the Russians just flying up this Dorito side. Oh, too aggressive though. Dan Maskel takes it in his loader. Here comes Fedorov. Fedorov's on the 50-yard line. Seconds only left. Neil Eberle. And Neil Eberle running to the box. Fedorov sliding in to try to score a point just for pride. It's not gonna matter, but you gotta give them props for their heart though, Billy, you know?
Yeah, and a great game for Excessive. They deserved it. They played very well.
Yes, Excessive just dominating all day today. Look at Fedorov, the consummate pro, shaking the hands of the referees. But this game was all Excessive. Let's go down to the field now. The third member of our broadcast team, Callie Steidehar, is hanging out with LA Excessive's Thomas Taylor.
Great finish. You guys are a very emotional team, aren't you?
Yeah, we run high in emotions. Whether we're winning, whether we're losing, we're always out there. So it gets ugly sometimes, but it gets real good sometimes too.
So with the final score being 12-7, LA Excessive moves past the Russian Legion, who just didn't have enough tonight, though they are one of the best teams in the world. Definitely expecting more out of them in this event. Bill, your thoughts?
Well, Fedorov, not terribly effective tonight, but he can be extremely effective. If he brings his game together, we're going to see a little different story in the rest of this tournament.
And after 2 weeks of play, our standings look like this. Los Angeles and Atlanta finish strong as both take home first-round victories. Be sure to join us next week as the Seattle Naughty Dogs take on the New York Aces. And that's going to be it for us here today. And on behalf of Bill Gardner Jr., Callie Steidehar, and all of our crew, I'm Matty Marshall saying so long.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.